And we are following breaking news out of Riverside, where a large fire is burning at an apartment complex. SkyCal is over the scene, and assignment manager Mark Liu is tracking it all at the desk. Mark.
Yeah, this is an enormous apartment fire, Amy, with multiple units involved. There is a tremendous amount of fire that has destroyed huge sections of the roof of this, what's being described as a multi-story apartment complex on Iowa Avenue. Look at how large, Amy, this structure is, and the fire has spread to multiple buildings in this apartment complex. Now, this is apparently called the Iowa Garden Apartments. Riverside City Fire responded here. They have requested assistance from Riverside County Fire just due to the sheer size of this apartment fire. And you can see that many of these units are a total loss. There has been roof collapses all throughout this entire structure. And you can see that Iowa is essentially closed here. Iowa Avenue is closed for this firefight. Now, incredibly, Amy, so far, Riverside City Fire says there have been no reports of any injuries. But, Amy, they say there are multiple families that are now displaced due to this fire. Apparently, they were able to evacuate, and to their knowledge, they don't have any requests for any ambulances or injuries here. But this firefight continues as it has been for the better part of this hour. SkyCal flew all the way from Santa Monica over here and could see the smoke plume from this fire as it was crossing over downtown LA. So that's a good 30 miles at least. And you can see firefighters are on the roof on some of these units here doing structure protection and hoping to contain this fire. But you can see it's on multiple levels, ground floor, first floor, and the second floor. But this firefight is continuing. There are a huge number of resources here. They are calling this a defensive mode fire, which means that nobody's going into any of these buildings. But again, they say that they have had no rescues here and no reported injuries so far. But, you know, Amy, this fire is not out yet, and they have not done what's called a primary search, which is what they will do to look for any victims of this fire once the fire is out. So it's unknown if there's anyone that perhaps was trapped in there, but they say right now they don't have any active rescues.
Yes, and we have heard that there are a lot of UC Riverside students that may be living in this complex, and they are still in school with their last day of instruction. June 5th is what I'm seeing. So they are coming up on those final exams, and so it's great news that we haven't heard of any injuries. Now, joining us on the phone is Riverside Fire Division Chief Greg White. Thank you so much for joining us, Chief White.
Good afternoon.
Do you have any idea at this point how this fire started or where exactly it started in this complex?
We don't have that information at this time. The City of Riverside Fire and Arson Investigations Unit has responded to the scene and will start conducting their investigation when it's safe to do so. This fire was reported at approximately 11:13 hours. Just shortly after, within approximately 2 minutes, the fire was reported on the third floor and through the roof of the apartment complex. Firefighters quickly initiated evacuations and attempted to do the primary search to ensure that all occupants were out of the structure. We have no reports of anybody trapped within, but we do have reports of multiple displaced persons from the apartment complex.
And Chief, what makes fighting a fire like this so difficult in a large complex like this?
In a large complex like this, you have open spaces like the common attic space that could potentially cause the fire to move throughout the building and progress it without it being unchecked. That's why firefighters are quickly to the roof to try to open it up to allow opportunities for water streams to get put in. The concern is obviously life safety of the residents that were in the building and also the life safety of the firefighters responding. That's why the water tower operations are up to try to put as much water on this large fire as we can while also protecting any exposures, buildings that surround the apartment complex.
And I'm guessing the fact that there are no injuries means that there were probably smoke detectors throughout this building and everyone was alerted and able to get out pretty quickly.
Yeah, I would assume a apartment of this size had a working smoke alarm system. I don't have any reports of its activation, but the call came fairly quickly to the City of Riverside Fire Department.
But it seems like this fire has just spread so fast and throughout this complex.
Yes, the type of what we call a garden-style apartment. That open attic space that can run across around the entire building allows the fire to spread unchecked if there wasn't any type of fire suppression system within the attic system.
And such a huge response. About how many firefighters do you have out there fighting this fire?
We're looking at a total of 25 resources, approximately 100 firefighters, and we have assistance on Riverside County CAL FIRE, and I believe Ontario is actually responding as well to assist. We're dealing with another commercial fire, second alarm commercial fire that occurred just an hour before this one as well. So the resources are running thin in the city of Riverside, but we've called in mutual aid from San Bernardino County to assist in covering the city.
And we do know that the weather is a little on the cooler side, and it doesn't appear that you have a lot of wind out there. Is that certainly helping in this fight?
That definitely helps. With that column going straight up, it allows firefighters to deploy those aerial apparatus safely and to contain this fire to its building of origin.
Wow, we just saw what we're looking at. We just saw a large piece of a structure falling to the ground there. I mean, this is one. We did see some firefighters on what looked like rooftops. Is this at the point where in this section, clearly no one is on the roof, but do you have to kind of go into more of a defensive mode as opposed to just really trying to get in there?
Yes, as the structural integrity is compromised by the damage of the fire, we're definitely going to continue to move our firefighting resources into a safe location while, doing what we can to keep knock down this fire as quickly as possible to try to save as much of the structure that can remain.
Yeah, and it looks like so much of this part, and I know it is a very large complex, but it looks like a good portion of what we're seeing right now really just looks like it's a loss there.
Yes, and we have the Red Cross responding with a team to assist with all the displaced occupants from this apartment complex.
Okay, and we see so many firefighters there on the rooftop shooting water over to the other building. It looks like they've been able to keep it from getting to this section that they're on right now, so that has to be a good sign, at least, that they're stopping it from spreading.
Yes.
Okay. Well, Chief White, we certainly appreciate your time this morning. I know that you're very busy with these two large fires that you all have been dealing with, so we certainly appreciate your time, and hopefully we can check back in with you a little later.
Yes, thank you. And if people can stay out of the area to allow the firefighting efforts to continue, we'd appreciate it. Thank you.
Well, as you mentioned that, how many streets are actually closed? Iowa? And are there other streets around the structures that are closed?
I believe it's Iowa and Everton that are closed in the immediate area. I don't have the immediate closure area.
Okay, and those that have been affected can get some help from the Red Cross. Again, Chief White, thank you for your time. We certainly appreciate it.
Thank you very much.
All right, Mark, we have been watching this structure burn here, and as we just learned, it started about 11:13 this morning, started on the third floor and was quickly through the roof. And no reports of injuries, which is certainly great to hear. I'm guessing a lot of smoke detectors, but this building doesn't seem like it might be new enough to have all of the sprinkler systems in, but I guess that's something that we'll learn about later. But this is certainly a huge fire, and we were learning that this could be a complex that does have a lot of UC Riverside students, and they are still in session right now through early June, classes until June 5th, and finals the following week, the 6th through the 12th. So students are certainly in that area, and we're just watching so many firefighters right now battling this fire.
Yeah, that's exactly right. I mean, I was just looking at my map. This is actually listed as the University of Riverside Garden Apartments. That's the name that it's listed on the map. And if you can come out to my screen, I'm going to show you. So I'll zoom out. This is essentially where it is. You see the 215 there in Riverside. I'll zoom in and show you it's these structures that are burning right here. This is what this apartment complex looked like this morning before it started to burn. But you can see how it's essentially one contiguous unit here. But the fire simply spread from spot to spot as it moved around. And firefighters, they've got to deal with this. It's the fire chief there that we had talked to just said that there was a possibility that there might be a common attic, and there's certainly a lot of space here and a roof collapse that we've got going on. But it's incredible that they were able essentially to get everyone out of this complex here, which is great news. There's no reports of any injuries so far. which is really, really good. However, unfortunately, it looks like this was a fully occupied apartment complex. There's lots of people displaced, and the American Red Cross is going to be the one to hopefully find them some temporary shelter. But this firefight still continuing. You can see multiple hose lines from ladders in a very fierce defensive firefight. Firefighters on the roof, they're going to do their best to try and keep this fire from spreading, but it looks like more than half of this entire complex now engulfed in flames. Amy, it's a lot of damage, a lot of apartment units.
Yeah, and I was going to ask you, Mark, not to put you on the spot, when you were doing that research about this building, did you notice how many units are actually in this complex?
I haven't been able to get really a count yet on that, but it's large. You can just see how many there are. You can count. This is definitely, if it truly is, it's listed as university apartments, then you can expect them to be, smaller efficiency style apartments that college students might want to use if they're going to the University of Riverside. So, there's probably a very high likelihood that there were a lot of people here. And unfortunately, as we come to the end of the school year, this is just like one of the, it's going to be devastating for the people that live there. But firefighters, on the roof, they're trying to open up some more ventilation and make sure that the roof is stable. But you can see many of these apartments, probably both on the first and second floor, are going to be a total loss here. Yeah,
it certainly seems that way. And I mean, that first building where it looks like the fire started, I mean, that just is gutted by the fire. You can see the roof was gone. And, there is hopefully something that could be salvaged out of the bottom units, perhaps. But I'm guessing water damage is going to be very prevalent in all of these units that are in that part of the building. But certainly a huge one.
Now I'm looking at the website for the University Gardens Apartments. It says that probably between, I don't know if it means both of these structures, but it very likely does mean that 422 bed spaces is what they describe on the website here. So that could be the entire complex. It looks like both of these complexes here are architecturally similar. So I believe that it's very likely both of these properties and only one of them is currently burning. But they basically have, 1 bedroom, 2 bedroom, and 3 bedroom apartment units here. Again, 422 bed spaces, along with covered and uncovered parking, all on Iowa Avenue here. And it looks like it is designed to serve, the University they say that we're here to serve university life. So essentially, this would be university housing, essentially. This is very large, and you can see the parking spaces there next to the apartments. But I would say 60% of this very large complex. And if they're divided evenly, we're looking at probably 210 bed spaces in each of these 2 large complexes. That's got to be at least 60% of the structure is now destroyed. Yes, and these students, still have another week of classes before they start finals, and we know that the Red Cross is available. Oh, it's interesting when you see another flash. It looks like a little explosion happened there. We saw a little something that seemed to explode there. Who knows what is being ignited right now in these units? But with the American Red Cross, helping out all of these students. I mean, you said 422 beds. I mean, that's a lot of people that would need help from the American Red Cross. And, at a time that is very stressful for students, the last week of classes, getting ready for finals. This is a tough time to be forced out of your apartment. Any time is tough, but this is especially tough when you're trying to finish the school year. Yeah, exactly. I believe that the UC Riverside system is on the quarter system right now, so they are still, like you mentioned, they are still in school, but it's got to be nearing the end. The quarter system usually ends sometime around June, I believe. June 5th is the last June 5th, of the end of classes, and then finals start the next week. Yeah, so this is a critical time for students as they enter in the last part of the quarter. This is clearly where you're doing the work to get ready for your finals for the end of the year. Very unknown if this is just strictly student housing or if this is faculty and visiting faculty housing, employee housing as well. But it appears that this would be something that students would go to for those that are familiar with the UC system. But there's still unchecked fire in parts of this apartment simply because it's very difficult. They've got to triage the areas here where they can control the fire to keep it from spreading to other apartments. While there are some apartments there in the center that they're virtually destroyed as it is, and very likely the rest of whatever's in there is just going to continue to burn. They will get to it when their hose lines can reach to it. But yeah, this is a pretty intense fire, Amy, and there's going to be certainly an investigation into how this started. But it sounds like it started. If I was listening to what that firefighter we were talking to said, it may have started on the 3rd floor here, on one of the upper floors.
Yes, it does. And I was doing a little digging here, and this complex has 1, 2, and 3 bedroom units. They've been renovated, and they do have laundry in some of the layouts, plus community amenities. And we don't know how this fire started just yet. It could be anything. We certainly don't want to try to predict or guess how this started, but we do know that certainly a large complex for students. It does seem like it is student housing. Perhaps this is one of those buildings, Mark, so many of the schools are doing this, where they buy an apartment complex that's near campus and then kind of turn it into more of student housing. And then the students each get to, really rent their bedroom, and they have the shared common space, and, they match you with other roommates. So I guess I sound like one of those college moms who's experienced this at another school, but this is what this sounds like.
Yeah, and if you come back out to my map, I can show you just how close this is to the university campus. It's essentially on the other side of the 215. Again, this is the buildings that are burning here, and if I zoom out and just move to the east, this is the 215 freeway, and right here, this is the university right here. So you can see it's very close. It is off campus on the other side of the freeway, but certainly, a lot of times upperclassmen, they will be the ones that will stay in university housing, whereas lowerclassmen will be possibly living on campus if there's space at UC Riverside to do that. But this is probably, a place where an upperclassman or, juniors or seniors in college would probably move to once they're done living on campus. They move out here just right across the freeway. It's probably just a quick 5 minutes or less. You could almost walk to school from this apartment complex here. And yeah, I mean, there's going to be the American Red Cross is going to have to put up a lot of people who are displaced from this fire that continues to burn. Now, the chief said the call came in at about 11:15, so we're looking at a 90-minute firefight still in progress, and it's certainly going to go longer as they still are trying to get water on the core part of this fire that is continuing to burn there in the center of the apartment complex.
That's right, Mark. And we did hear that they have 25 different resources on this fire. Riverside County, CAL FIRE, all battling this fire. Again, we are going to stay on top of this. Resources are being made available from the Red Cross for those students who are now forced from their homes. They've been evacuated. We are going to have the very latest for you coming up on the news at 4 o'clock on CBS LA.